Good afternoon. My name is Zanku Armenian, Chair of the Community Development Block Grant CDBG Advisory Committees. Welcome to the October 14th, 2021 CDBG Advisory Committee special meeting to help slow the transmission of COVID-19 and protect the health and safety of the community. City Council, as well as board and commission meetings, will continue to be closed to the public for in-person attendance. The public is encouraged to watch and participate from the safety of their homes to practice social distancing. Meetings are broadcast live on Glendale TV, viewable on Spectrum Cable, Channel 6, and AT&T UVerse, Channel 99. Meetings are also streamed live in high definition HD on the city's webpage, glendaleca.gov/live, glendaleca.gov/live. on youtube.com/MikeGlendale, youtube.com/MikeGlendale, and on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire devices using a free app called ScreenWeave and choosing Glendale TV from the menu. For public comments and questions during the meeting, call 818-937-8100. That number again, 818-937-8100. Public comments on a specific agenda item will be taken when that agenda item is discussed. With that being said, may we have roll call, please?
Committee members Avedisian,
Present.
Kazarian,
Present.
Quiñones Gabrielian,
Present.
Vice Chair Garibian,
Present.
Chair Armenian.
Present.
The agenda for the October 14, 2021 special meeting of the CDBG Advisory Committee was posted on or before Monday, October 11, 2021 on the bulletin board outside City Hall. Item 2 is minutes. At A is approval of the minutes of the August 30, 2021 CDBG Advisory Committee special meeting.
Right. Do we have any changes or can we approve the August 30, 2021 minutes?
I move to approve.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
That's fine.
Committee member Anita seconded. Okay. All those in favor? Or I have to take a vote?
Sure. Committee members Avedisian,
Yes.
Kazarian,
Yes.
Quiñones Gabrielian,
Yes.
Vice Chair Garibian,
Yes.
Chair Armenian.
Yes.
Item 3 is oral communications. We don't have any callers. Item 4, action items. At A is selection of CDBG Advisory Committee officers. At 1 is selection of chair for the term October 2021 through October 2022. And at 2 is selection of vice chair for the term of October 2020 through October 2022.
Okay, with that agenda item, we will select them one at a time. So let's start with, shall we start with the chair? That's the first thing on the agenda. We have nominations.
Certainly. Chair Armenian, members of the committee, if you wouldn't mind, Chair Armenian, handing the meeting over to me, I will go ahead and run the nominations for chair.
So we'll hand it over to you.
Yes, please.
Okay. So we'll go ahead.
Thank you. The business before the CDBG Advisory Committee is the selection of a new chair. I will now entertain nominations for that office.
I don't know what the normal protocol is, but I think Chair Zonko Armenian is doing an amazing job, and I would like to renominate him for this position for chair.
Yeah, I don't know what the protocol is either. Usually we rotate. We have rotated in the past.
Okay.
There isn't anything in the policy against it. It is absolutely up to the...
I'm happy to serve if the committee wishes to, and I'm also happy to relinquish if there are others who would like to.
Can I nominate myself?
Do the nominations, Iris, need to be seconded?
They do not need to be seconded.
Okay.
And in the case where there are more than one committee members nominated, when I do the roll call, each member will say the name of the committee member that they wish to vote for. Perhaps
May I nominate myself?
Yes, you may.
I'm nominating myself.
Yeah, I didn't know that was something. Oh,
Yes, that is certainly
Okay.
possible.
Okay. I'll nominate Armik.
okay. Thank you.
Are there any further nominations?
I just want to let you know that I'm having a problem seeing the meeting. I'm not sure what's happening, but I'm listening to you just fine. I don't know if you can see me.
We can see you and hear you. At least I
Okay,
can.
thank you.
You have two screens open right there.
I don't know what's happening.
I only see her on one.
Oh, no, never mind. That's the other one, GTV6. Sorry.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so I have nominations for committee member Armenian, Caribbean, and Avedisian. I will now take the roll call, and please state the name of the committee member that you wish to elect as the new chair.
And before you do that, and if we don't have a majority, what happens?
We start over.
Okay.
Yes, we need at least a majority vote. So three
Okay.
at least.
So at least 3.
For one person. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, committee member Armenian.
I vote for Armik.
Okay. Committee member Avedisian.
I'll vote for myself.
Okay. Committee member Caribbean.
Myself.
Okay. Committee member Gazarian. Committee member Gazarian, who would you like to vote for?
You're on mute.
Sorry. Caribbean?
And committee member Quinones Gabrielian, would you like to vote for?
Yes, I would like, because I nominated Zanku Armenian, committee member Armenian, but he didn't vote for himself. I would, who did he vote for?
Armik.
Armik Avedisian, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, and was it Ronnie Garibian who had just been the chair before Zanku Armenian took over?
Well, he's currently the vice chair, but I can't remember.
No, Mr. Avedisian was the one before Mr. Armenia.
That is correct.
So we're going back to Avedisian, right?
If you vote for him.
I mean, yes. See, I mean, if I'm trying to be as fair as possible. See, so we had Garibian. Now we have Armenian.
No. We had Caribbean, then we had Avedisian, then we had Armenia.
Okay. Okay. Well then, I'm going to end up splitting here because in order to be just, I'm going to support my colleague Garibian, who I think he's next.
Okay.
Correct.
So your vote is for committee member Caribbean, is that correct?
Thank you.
Okay. So the majority vote goes to committee member Caribbean. I now declare him the duly elected chair of the CDBG Advisory Committee. So, Mr. Chair, the task before you now is to open the floor for nominations for vice chair.
Thank you so much. Thank you for electing me, my fellow members who elected me. For vice chair, as obviously this is Ms. Anita Gutierrez Gabrielian's third year, if I'm not mistaken. You're getting into the third year. And you are
Second year.
second year. You're getting to the second year. That's right. So, 22, 21, 22. So I would like to nominate her to be the vice chair. So she can have some experience moving up, hopefully next year, to take over the chairmanship. I hope so, if I'm around.
Well, I will accept it, except now I feel that I need to support my colleague Avedisian. And I'm trying to let me think. I really hadn't thought about this process. If you'd like me to serve, I will serve, and I will support whoever actually gets elected. Thank you for the nomination.
Any other nomination, or Iris, you want to take over on that?
Chair Garibian, since you were the one who nominated someone, I think I should take over the election of vice chair. So if I understood correctly, committee member Quinones Gabrielian, are you Are you nominating committee member Avedisian?
Yes.
Okay, so then we have nomination for Quinones Gabrielian and one for Avedisian. Are there any other nominations? Okay, when I call your name, please state the name of the committee member that you wish to be the vice chair. Committee member Armenian,
Anita,
committee member Avedisian,
Anita,
committee member Caribbean,
Ms. Gabrielian.
committee member Gazarian,
Gabrielian,
and committee member Quinones Gabrielian.
Well, I accept and vote for myself then. Thank you.
Thank you. I now declare committee member Quinones Gabrielian the duly elected vice chair of the CDBG Advisory Committee.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're moving forward with with today's agenda. What's next?
Yes. Next is item 4B, preliminary proposed fiscal year 2022-2023 CDBG funding allocation plan by funding category. At 1 is motion to approve the preliminary proposed fiscal year 2022-2023 CDBG funding allocation plan by funding category.
Good afternoon, Chair Garibian, members of the advisory committee. We have a PowerPoint presentation for you this afternoon regarding the preliminary proposed 2022-2023 funding allocation plan.
Okay.
Please let me know when you are able to see the screen.
I can see the screen again. Thank
Yeah,
you.
we can see.
I can see screen.
Excellent, thank you. I'll go ahead and get started with our PowerPoint presentation. Staff today is recommending that the advisory committee approve our preliminary proposed funding allocation plan for 22-23 by funding category. But before we get there, we want to give the committee some news that's coming out of Washington. At this time, Congress and the administration have reached a continuing resolution through December 3rd, 2021 to avoid a government shutdown. So this means that our appropriation levels currently remain the same this year until our final budget is passed for the 2022-2023 period. So we are estimating that the upcoming budget estimates will probably be the same, and it's based on last year's funding. Now, what this continuing resolution also means is that staff may not be able to present the committee with a final budget at the February 2022 meeting when we do the interviews with our agencies. And we may have to have an additional meeting to finalize those final recommendations as our Congress and administration iron out the numbers. So the way we're looking at it in the coming year, we're estimating our annual base allocation at $2 million. But we also have, in addition to that, we also have $66,607 in unappropriated fund balance. This is fund balance between the years of 2015 and 2019. And I know that the committee has brought this up several times. When we close out our projects, and if there's money left over, it goes into this unappropriated fund balance. And here's the time that we can use that. Now, so total estimate for 2022-2023 will be $2,666,607. So how does that break down? It breaks down to $400,000 going to program administration. This is 20% of the pot. $300,000 goes to public social services. There is a cap at 15% for public social services. We can't go above that cap, so that's $300,000. And then again, the bulk of it, $1.36 million will go to capital improvement projects. Now this year, because of that $66,000 that's available, we'll set aside $950,607 for community agencies, and we RFP that money out. And then back at our meeting previously, the committee had agreed to move forward with a Section 108 loan repayment application for the Fremont Park renovation project. So this is $416,000. $400,000 is the principal, $16,000 would be the interest for the year. And speaking of the Fremont Park renovation project, we wanted to give you a little bit of an update on it. Like I had mentioned, in June 29, 2021, the advisory committee approved for staff to move forward with working on an application to HUD for this project, for the Fremont Park renovation project. In September, on September 29th, we had a community meeting, a virtual meeting with 21 residents who were in attendance, and they provided a lot of feedback regarding the Section 108 loan repayment application. We received 9 email comments between September 27th and October 1st. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a report to the City Council on November 2nd, and we're going to submit that report to request approval to go ahead and move forward to submit the actual application to HUD. We expect that in January or February of 2022 that the final submission to HUD will be done, with a 3 to 5 month timeline to process the loan and get final approval. So therefore, staff is recommending that the proposed funding allocation plan be approved today to include that $416,000 for the pre-designated Fremont Park renovation project. And this concludes the funding allocation plan PowerPoint. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Any questions, anyone? No one?
I have
No
a question.
Go ahead, Ms. Armenia.
It felt like, or it feels like, I should say, the social service budget is really low compared to capital. How do you attribute that difference?
Committee member Armenian, HUD has certain rules and guidelines regarding the funding allocation, and one of the major guidelines is that at least 65% of the total allocation go to capital improvement projects. It's truly, CDBG started as a capital improvement program. They do have a cap of 15% for public social services. It's something we can't get away from. We were able to have the cap be removed during the COVID pandemic, and in the last year, we were able to up that number because we didn't have to abide by that 15% cap. But we're back to our regular CDBG allocation, and unfortunately, we are stuck at that 15% mark.
Yeah, that's really disappointing because, as you know, we as a committee struggle. We have so many great applications from so many great organizations in the community on social service programs, whereas the capital projects are usually fewer in number, larger in dollar amount usually. So we'll have a tough time here when we get around to allocations. Thank you.
Any other questions? If no questions, just quickly, in our packets, I see the virtual community meeting we had for the Pacific Park project. Can you give us some summary of that? So at least public can hear it as well.
Absolutely, Chair Garibian, members of the advisory committee. We did have 21 residents in attendance at our virtual meeting. We also gave the opportunity for telephone call-in and email comments that were sent in. We had 9 comments that were sent in via email. The biggest commentary through the exhibits are the group decided that they felt that we should move forward with a loan. So they were very much gung-ho on the loan, applying for the Section 108 loan. Their concerns are more with the project itself, and in particular, the artificial turf versus natural turf. That was really where their comments came in. So we included all of the commentary, and it seems to be kind of a running theme with all the residents. That was their number one concern. So it really didn't have much to do with the actual moving forward with a loan or not. Everybody was okay with that. It was just the idea of making considerations on how to work out the actual artificial versus natural turf as part of the plan, part of the master plan, which I believe, and the director, Onik Buluni, can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's already approved by City Council. If I'm not mistaken, the master plan is already approved.
Yeah, President, Chair Arabian, members of the committee, the plans and specifications were approved October of 2019 for the project, which included an artificial turf field. We did take a report to the Parks Commission on artificial turf versus natural turf, and the Parks Commission asked us to stop all artificial turf projects. Working with the Sustainability Commission, Sustainability Officer, he suggested that we conduct a life cycle assessment, an analysis on artificial turf, cradle to the grave analysis. So we are working with Citadel, that's a consultant that we've procured, and they will be starting the analysis, I believe, the first week of November, which starts with a community meeting, and we hope to have the report finalized by the end of March. We will bring the report to the Sustainability Commission, Parks Commission, as well as City Council, and City Council will decide if we should move forward with artificial turf projects moving forward. We do have 5 that we're working on, 1 being Fremont. If City Council decides to go with natural turf, then we will go back to the drawing board and work on a natural turf soccer field.
Just when you say sustainability, you're talking about the life, life of the turf, or it could actually have a settlement and all that.
The life cycle assessment, basically cradle to the grave. So manufacturing the product, how much it affects or increases the carbon footprint, what environmental impacts it has, manufacturing, what environmental impacts it will have when we install it, when we have soccer players. It's going to be a youth field, so what environmental impact it'll have on the youth, to the climate and the area of the park, and so on. So it's going to look for everything, A to Z. When we dispose of it in 10 to 12 years, how much of it will be recycled? The company that we're using uses, I believe, 90 to 95% recycled material. So it'll go back into manufacturing. They'll recycle it and use the products for other things instead of going into the landfill. But we've asked the consultant to look at everything so council can have all the information and they can make their final decision on all of our artificial turf projects.
Thank you, Mr. Abdulkian. So what's next?
Chair Caribbean, members of the committee, we are asking, this is an action item when we are asking for a motion to approve the preliminary proposed.
Anyone wants to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, and I'll take roll call. Committee members Avedisian,
Yes.
Kazarian,
Yes.
Quinones Gabrielian,
Yes.
Vice Chair Caribbean.
You mean Chair Caribbean?
I apologize. I didn't adjust to my notes.
Yes.
Okay, and committee member Armenian.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, next is item 4C, fiscal year 2022-2023 CDBG program priorities. At 1 is a motion to approve the fiscal year 2022-2023 CDBG program priorities.
Thank you, Iris. Good afternoon, Chair Garibian, members of the Advisory Committee. As part of the development of the 2022-2023 Annual Action Plan, we need to determine program priorities for our upcoming year. And again, we have a PowerPoint presentation ready for you to review the program priorities. Again, I asked if you are able to see the screen.
Yes.
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 Excellent. I'll go ahead and get started. So the recommendation is to approve the 2022-2023 CDBG program priorities. We start with the development of the program priorities, and traditionally we would host an in-person community meeting. We would hold that at a public place. Most of the time it would be held at the Pacific Park Community Center, where residents would be invited to provide direct input, and especially residents of the southern Glendale area. We really want to hear from them. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, the city had to again provide an alternative way to gather community input this year. And we used 3 platforms. We used virtual meeting and an email comment period, and then a telephone call-in option. So the 3 platforms, we held our virtual community meeting on September 29th at 7 p.m. We held it via Microsoft Teams. We had 21 residents who participated in that virtual community meeting. We also had an email comment period from September 27th through October 1st, and we received no comments. We also had an option of a telephone call-in period between September 27th through October 1st with bilingual support staff for Armenian and English speakers. Again, we had no comments there. We provided a notice to the community via newspaper, social media, our department website and calendar, City Connections newsletter, our Community Services and Parks newsletter. We also have a nonprofit email distribution list that we send out the information to, our Community Services and Parks email distribution list, as well as GTV6. Part of, aside from the meeting that we have with the community to gather input, we also do data analysis. And what we do is we look at the US Census American Community Survey, the data estimates, and we looked at years 2015 to 19, and we updated our key demographic indicators. And we use these numbers to gauge what's happening in the future years. So where would those priorities, we try to find out where the priorities are for Glendale. So about 13.5% of all Glendale families were below the poverty line in Glendale, while 13.4% of LA County is listed as below poverty line. So just to give the committee an idea, last year our poverty levels were at 14.7%. So our poverty level decreased by about 1%. We have 17.7% of our population who are children under the age of 18. When you look at the LA County average, that's 21.4%. And then we looked at our seniors. We have 35,000 seniors who are 65 years and older who are living in Glendale, which make up about 17.6% of our Glendale population. We also looked at median rent. Median rent in Glendale is $1,622 compared to $1,460 for an LA County renter. Another thing that we looked at, 105,830, almost 106,000 Glendale residents are foreign born, representing 53.1% of our Glendale population. Compared to LA is 34%. So that was something that stood out. And then we added this last year because we thought that this was important during the pandemic. 87% of Glendale households own a computer, while 82.9% of those households have broadband internet subscriptions. So when we look at our priority needs, the priority needs that we had established are community facilities, public services, public infrastructure, special needs services, housing, special needs housing, and then business and jobs. So when we look at to determine the program priorities, they seem to continue to be in line with our 5-year plan, which was approved in 2019. Now, we did have some ideas that stood out, and that includes housing concerns. We always have this standout, housing concerns related to limited resources. This group that gave input felt that parks and open space in Southern Glendale was definitely a priority. Residents also expressed that they felt that childcare services were needed, more childcare services, business assistance, and I should say small business assistance. Employment apprenticeships were important to them, green jobs, and senior services. So these were the priorities that stood out for them. And this concludes the presentation on program priorities. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Thank you, Maggie. Thank you so much. Any questions? Anyone has any questions?
Good.
Please unmute yourself if you're mute. And no questions?
No questions.
Just Maggie, as a staff, as a curiosity, one of the studies you guys have done, it's number of parks in Glendale, which totals to about 1.4 acre per 1,000 people. But yet we have a national average. Do we have an average with our immediate neighboring cities, such as Burbank, Pasadena, versus national average could be, I mean, Wyoming, I assume their parks are in acres, so I can't really take that as a sample.
Chair Garibian, members of the advisory committee, that's a very good question. We actually tried to get more information from the state of California, and we did actually receive that information later on, so we weren't able to add it to the report. But just to give the committee a bit of insight, 7.8 acres per 1,000 people is our state average. So we have 9.9 acres on the national average, 7.8 acres for state, and 1.4 for Glendale. So that should kind of give you an idea. We can gather more averages for our cities, but we would have to do a study and bring it back to the committee. We'd be more than happy to do that.
Yeah, like city of Los Angeles, city of Burbank and Pasadena, which is our immediate, concentrated, more dense population area, obviously less land, so that automatically, so that should help our moving forward with the park projects coming up. So we'll have something to rely on, absolutely. Okay, any other questions? Nothing? We have to pass this motion?
Yes, we are requesting a motion.
Anyone?
I move approval of the motion.
Second it.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
take a roll call.
Thank you. Committee members Armenian,
Yes.
Avedisian? Committee member Avedisian?
I'm sorry, I'm muted. Yes.
Kazarian?
Yes.
Vice Chair Quinones Gabrielian?
Yes.
Chair Garibian?
Yes. What's next?
Item 4D, fiscal year 2022-2023 CDBG Public Social Services Request for Funding Proposal, RFP packet. At one is a motion to approve the fiscal year 2022-2023 CDBG Public Social Services Request for Proposal, RFP packet.
Thank you, Iris. Chair Garibian, members of the advisory committee, we put together a request for proposal for public social services sample packet, which includes the instructions and application reflecting the estimated $300,000 we had discussed in the funding allocation plan for 2022-2023 for your review and approval. Now, we haven't changed any of the language in the application this program year. And it is a motion. I believe it is an action item. Correct, Iris?
Yes, that is correct.
No changes. Any questions? Anyone, any comments?
I do have one. And I think I asked it last year, but I may not have articulated it well. When you put together the draft, when you put together the proposal, correct? You incorporate what we just approved, the priorities, the program priorities. Why is it that we change what we just approved? Why can't we just use it exactly the same inside the proposals? We change the format. And I just wondered, in order to be consistent with what the committee just approved in this format, if we could just use that inside both the social services and the capital proposals.
We can actually change that, Vice Chair Quinones Gabrielian, if you'd like. We could update the part, I believe it's part 6.
Right, and I think.
Is it part 7?
Is it 6 or
Part
7?
seven.
Oh, I'm
It's
sorry,
part
it's part 7.
Yes.
Part 7A, right? That's the section you're referring to?
I don't see an A. I see part 7, CDBG program priorities.
And then right underneath it, it says A, program priorities for fiscal year 22-23. That's the section you're referring to, right?
Correct. Page, yes, 12, I think it is. That's the section.
We are able to update that. This is actually the time that we can update it before we move it forward to our city council.
Okay.
So if the committee prefers to do that, we can update it to reflect. And you're saying reflect exhibit 1?
Yes, the exhibit 1 of the program priorities that we just approved for 22-23, and just have that consistently be shown as the CDBG funding priorities for the year.
We can do that.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone wants to approve this with the change that Ms. Gabriel already suggested? Is that what the motion will be, to approve with the change?
I'll make the motion to approve as amended.
Anyone wants to second that? Mr. Armenia?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll take roll call. Committee members Armenian,
Yes.
Avedisian,
Yes.
Kazarian,
Yes.
Vice Chair Quinones Gabrielian,
Yes.
Chair Garibian.
Yes. Next item, please.
4E, fiscal year 2022-2023 CDBG Capital Improvement Project Request for Proposal RFP packet. One is a motion to approve the fiscal year 2022-2023 CDBG Capital Improvement Project Request for Proposal RFP packet.
Thank you, Iris. Chair Garibian, members of the advisory committee, we have also put together the request for proposal for capital improvement project sample packet, which includes instructions and application reflecting the estimated $950,607, which will be available to fund community agencies in fiscal year 22-23. They are ready for your review and approval. Again, we have not changed any of the language in the application this program year. We did, however, when we do have our meeting that will be a technical support meeting that comes up, we are going to express to the community agencies the committee's consideration about giving the agencies advice, I guess you could say, because of increased construction costs and supply chain demands, to let them know when they're preparing their proposal to consider those costs and estimate at a higher, more conservative level than they have done in the past to account for the time frame that it's taking now to do construction projects. in this day and age. So I wanted to turn it over back to Iris for the vote. And then we can also update the RFP language regarding the program priorities as Vice Chair Quinones Gabrielian had mentioned in our public social services packet. We can do that in our our capital improvement packet as well.
Thank you.
So we have an amendment as well as on this one. So anyone wants to approve with the amendment?
I'll move this as well.
I'll second.
Roll
Committee
call, please.
members, thank you. Committee members Armenian,
Yes.
Avedisian,
Yes.
Kazarian,
Yes.
Vice Chair Quinones Gabrielian,
Yes.
and Chair Garabian.
Yes.
Item
Okay,
5
what's
is
next?
committee staff comments.
Anyone has any comments? Mr. Armenian?
I had a question actually before I do comments. In one of the exhibits where you were showing, staff was showing the 2021 budget and the 21-22 allocation budgets, it was a spreadsheet. And then you were showing the 22-23 amounts. I noticed that under what is called a heading at the bottom, undesignated community projects. At the very bottom of that list, there was the first floor all-inclusive locker room project, YMCA Glendale. And the amount listed was $334,495. I thought we had added to that allocation at the last meeting because funds had come available. So I thought it was closer to like 500,000 at this point. Am I not reading it properly?
Committee member Armenian, you are reading it exactly as it is. It's funny that you say that because Deputy Director Alexandria and I had this conversation. On November 2nd, we are going to be taking the funding allocation plan to City Council, and we are going to be asking them to also approve the canceled and transferred project from the Glendale the Adventist Glendale Hospital Windows Project be transferred over to the YMCA first floor all-inclusive project. So at the November meeting, we will be including that amount. We just didn't want to include it until it was approved. So that's a very good catch.
Okay, and so where is that amount reflected in this spreadsheet? Is it reflected anywhere? The amount that I guess
it is not reflected, but it will be reflected in the November 2nd funding allocation plan. It is part of the report.
That was from 2021 allocations, right? That was returned?
It's actually from fiscal year 2018, 2019.
Okay.
But it currently for 21, 22, they do, the YMCA does have 334,000 allocated. In 22, 23, we're going to include the increase of the return $65,000. So you will see that in the updated allocation plan.
Okay, and then they're obviously eligible to apply again if they wanted to. It's just like the other organizations. Okay.
That is correct.
Okay. My only other comment is thank you for a very thorough package from staff as usual. Appreciate all the background information and look forward to the next funding cycle. I hope that everyone, all my fellow committee members, I'm sure will help promote it. So any of the materials that you can share when we get to the point of promoting applications, would be happy to help, and I'm sure everyone else would as well, to get the word out as widely as possible because we have so many deserving organizations in our community. We, as I noted in my previous comments, we are going to be challenged on the social service side of the equation just because of the limited funds, but we'll do the best that we can, and it's good to see also a healthy capital budget as well. So I'm sure there's lots of organizations that could use that as well. So thank you very much.
I have a comment.
Go ahead, Mr.
Thank you, Chair Garibian and colleagues and staff. I also want to say thank you. One thing that is a little bit concerning as we come up with our priorities is I know that we had 3 different platforms requesting input, right? We had no emails, we had no comments or telephone calls, and we had the community meeting with 21 residents basically giving us input, 21 residents in our huge city helping us come up with priorities. And I do know, and I am very grateful for the staff because I know you go and you update the census information and you look at any other information that might help you, that might help us get some input. But direct input from our residents is really low. And I wondered if we could make have a special meeting or have a focus on that to find out, you know, how do we get that up by, I mean, tenfold, you know, at least fivefold, so that we can hear from 100 people in Glendale to when we establish our priorities. So for next year, I would love to put that on the agenda somewhere.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I'll just say, if I could just add something to committee member Quinones Gabrielian's comments. I will say that, you know, I work with a lot of local governments and local communities across the territory in my day job, and I'll tell you that the public participation process, unfortunately, is not well attended unless there's a very, very controversial issue like artificial turf, as Mr. Valenikian has experienced, or other types of controversies. But I agree that I don't know what else we could do to, I mean, the one good news is we have gotten more applications than in the past. So that's, I guess, trending in the right direction. But in terms of the actual input process, I agree, unfortunately, that maybe people don't realize that there's this whole process and this funding process, you know, where the community can benefit and their input is so immensely valuable, right, to help prioritize where we put those funds. But as I think Maggie mentioned, at least in terms of staff input, you know, we know that the ratios are very, very poor in terms of open space in Glendale. So I'm glad to see that we'll be able to hopefully help on the Fremont Park refurbishment. And I do think open space, generally speaking, is in the public's mind. I think, you know, we're not alone in thinking about those things. But I would appreciate any ideas from staff where we could help as committee members. I know that many of us promoted the meeting, but I don't know if there's anything else we can do to promote public participation, which is always challenging, I think.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I have a question. Is there any way we can ask for more funding because of the cost of everything is going up, labor and equipment they're buying to build? Or is there any way we can ask government to get more money for because of the raising of all the cost?
Committee member Gazarian, CDBG funding is an entitlement fund and it's formula based. And the formula is basically our population, our total population. They look at our poverty level, which has gone down this year. And then they look at the age of the housing stock that we have in Glendale. And that's how they calculate how much we'll get. So the estimate that we gave you of $2 million is a healthy estimate because we know that the federal budget is kind of going up, and it's going up enough to offset our reduced poverty level, and our numbers for our population are steady, so we're okay there. So that is how CDBG calculates that. So we really don't have too much input in the sense of asking for more. We don't really ask for the funding, it's formula based. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other comments?
I'll make a quick comment. First of all, again, thank you, staff, for your hard work in getting all these reports ready on time and got to us so we can study them beforehand. And also, I want to thank our past chairs, Arminian, for his great work, and congratulate the new chair and the vice chair for their future upcoming work. That's a hard, tough job, but somebody got to do it. So I thank everybody and wish you guys all well until the next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Avedisian. Thank you.
So yes, I'm gonna keep it short. First, I want to thank the staff for everything you have been doing all this time. Ms. Kavarian, Ms. Alexandrian, Mr. Bunikian, Kabanjian. Where's Eric? I don't see Eric. I think he left. Eric Adamian and everybody else. Iris, obviously. Iris is a tremendous help. So thank you, every one of them. And the ones I didn't name that they're behind the scene and that there's a full staff working to put all this data in there. I know we have a tough year ahead of us, obviously, and every year gets tougher and tougher because more agencies come up with the bigger numbers. And last year, as you guys remember, it was tough. I really wish when the agencies do apply, they at least look at the year before or 2 years before the videos of the interviews and the allocations, so the agencies get familiar with what did happen or what their maybe expectation will be during that interview. So when they're applying for funds, at least they can see what happened the year before. Might give them some idea or direction, anything that matter. I want to thank the committee members who they put their trust in me for electing me as the chair. Thanks again for everybody and looking forward to see everyone soon. Iris?
Excuse me. That's all we have on the agenda.
Are
So if it is
we?
your pleasure, we can be adjourned.
I can't hear.
She said we can adjourn.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone. Bye-bye. Have a great week.
Thank you.